Let's now talk about magnetic mates. Now using magnetic mate, we can apply mate between similar components very quickly. Let me show you with this example. So we have these two rails and the sleepers right under this, and let's say we want to add several copies of this rail assembly. So we want several copies just like this in this linear direction, and we do want to add a few turns as well. So I've already created two assemblies for that. So we have this linear one, and then we have an assembly for the turns. So this is the curved one. Now using only these two assemblies, we can create unlimited iterations of this rail. Again, let me show you how it works. So I'll now go to a completely new assembly. So we already have these two. Let's just leave it right here and let's just create a completely new assembly. So I'll go to assembly and I'll click OK. All right, now this is a blank assembly where we'll include it, but first let's just save it. So I'm going to save it right inside the same folder where we have all these files, and I'll call it test assembly. All right, and click on save. Now, before inserting any sub-assembly or any component, we need to first make it so that it attaches magnetically. And for that, I'll go to Window and I'll go back to Straight Assembly. That's this one. Now here to apply the magnetic mate, we need to start with the ground plane, and that's very essential. So let's go to Tool, and right here we have Asset Publisher. So on this Asset Publisher, we can apply the ground plane. Also, we can apply all the points that are going to add the magnetic mate. So just go to Asset Publisher, and here we'll start with ground plane. So basically we are preparing this assembly for magnetic mate. Now the ground plane is this. This is the plane, of course, where it will be grounded, and it will depend on the type of assembly which you are making. So if you have a different kind of assembly, the ground plane will be different, and the ground plane does not essentially mean ground. It's the base plane, the flat plane where the bottommost part of your subassembly is going to be. All right, then we need to add the connectors, and for connector we need a point and a plane. All right, so I'll start with point, and I'll add the first point as this here, right at this end point. All right, and then for the plane, I'm going to select this plane. All right, so we've got this. Click on add connector. The first connector is now added, and you can see that we have this pink dot as well. That's the connector point. Let's repeat it for this one. So I'll select this endpoint right about here, and then this plane, and I'll click on add connector, and we have another pink dot. So we have connectors added in this direction. In a similar way, we need to add connectors on this side too. So I'll go to this one, this endpoint, and just make sure that they are symmetrical. If you've selected the endpoint there, make sure it's endpoint here as well, not the inner endpoint, the outer one. All right, and then this plane, add connector. Similarly, this is the outer one, so this should also be the outer one. So the outer one and the plane, and add connector. So we have added the 4 connectors. Now using these 4 connectors, we can add as many rails as we want. Click OK. And we have all the references right here in the published reference option. So you can see all the connectors as well as ground plane added. All right, now let's save this sub assembly. So I'll click on save, and I'll just save this entire sub assembly. Now let's close it. And let's go to the second one, which is curved assembly. Now here also we are going to do the same thing using Asset Publisher. So go to Tools, Asset Publisher, and now once again I'm going to start with this bottom plane, that's the ground plane, and once again the connectors. So this endpoint right here and this plane, and add connector, and repeat the process for all the 4 sides. So this add connector, and then this one right here, this endpoint and this plane, add connector, this endpoint and this plane, add connector, and we are done. So here also it is now added. All right, so we have got all the connectors added in published references. We can save it as well. So let's just save it, and now we are ready to use these assemblies. So it is important that you add these connectors and also the ground plane before you use the magnetic mate. So let's go to Insert Component, and in the same folder, the magnetic folder, I have this straight subassembly. So basically I'll be inserting this assembly in my assembly. So I'll click on rebuild and I'll just add the very first one here and click OK. All right, that's added. Now we are going to add the second one. To add it, you can either go to insert components or you can just drag and drop this one. So maybe in this case, let's add one. So I'll go to straight assembly and open. And here, as soon as you bring it close to existing assembly, look at this, we have these connection points. So it is going to kind of attract automatically to existing points, and you can just add it even here on this side. So if you move it here, it's going to attract it here. For now, I'll just move it at some distance like this. Now, as we have added it, let's try bringing it closer. So I'll now grab it, and as soon as you bring it closer, it will automatically show you this connector. And if you let go, it will snap to exactly the point which you need. So there we are. Now, in a similar way, you can add as many sub-assemblies as you want. Now, to create this copy, I'll simply select this sub-assembly, press and hold Control, and I'll drag and drop it out here. Since there was a connector, it will automatically snap. Let's do it again. Select, drag, and just drop it here. As you can see, once again, we have the connector. So even if I let go here, it will automatically snap. Not only that, you can also move it from here and then maybe snap it to this point. So you can just easily move it around. Now let's add that curved one. So for that, I'll go to insert component and I'll select curved assembly, not rail curved. That's just a part file, as you can see. So we need to add this assembly. Click open and rebuild. And there we are. This is what we need. So I'll just move it somewhere, maybe here like this. And now let's just rotate it slightly. Okay, now if you bring it closer, just like this, and make sure that you are selecting the proper connector, because if I let go, it will connect with this one and that's not what we want. So I'll just move it further apart and now it is connecting properly. So I'll let go now and here we are. It's got that turn. Now, if you want, you can now again make a few copies of this. So maybe press and hold Control and just drag it out. And as you can see, when I'm dragging it out from the drawing area, it's just making a copy of this rail. So that's the reason why you should not make a copy directly from the drawing area. Simply press Ctrl Z and go to the main assembly, and from there you can make the copies. So here I'll go to this last straight assembly and I'll just select and press and hold Control and drag it out like this. All right. Let's just bring it close to this connector and let it go. And here we are. It just connected it again. So once again, you can drag and drop and keep adding as many rails as you want. And not only that, once again, you can change the direction. Now we've got this one here in this direction, but you can use the same one to add another direction, or opposite one as well. So once again, I'll go to curved assembly, and instead of dragging it and dropping it from here, I'll just drag and drop it from here. And I'll ensure that it has some distance here, and then I'll just move it kind of like this. Okay, so we have this rotated direction, and now move it closer just like this, and it will automatically turn. So once again, you can add the straight ones. For Magnetic Mate to work, you need to ensure that inside tools, Magnetic Mate is on, because if it is not on, if you just deactivate it from here, the Magnetic Mate will not work. So even if you have assemblies with Magnetic Mate in it, and if you bring it closer, look at this, it won't just attract to the mating points. So you need to just ensure that inside tool Magnetic Mate is on in order to make it work. Now if I just bring it closer, I'll just zoom in, and right here we have the assembly. Here we are. It will automatically snap again. So that's the Magnetic Mate.